Hey there. So I want to give you some quick tips on how to manage the grieving process after betrayal trauma. I have to show you where I am on the other side of the world. Do you see this? This is not my usual environment. In fact, I'm in Thailand. We have a friend's wedding, and we were privileged to be able to come all the way to the opposite side of the world to celebrate with two very dear friends of ours. So I am currently at our vintage resort in Thailand. It's very rustic and authentic and takes me back to about, 1927. Okay, back to the topic at hand. How to handle grieving. Tips for handling the grieving process. I want you to imagine with me that you are walking on the beach. And as you're walking on the beach, first you're on the sand. And it's warm and your feet are fine. There's no water crashing over you. You are just fine. You edge more into the edge of the tide, and there's water around your ankles. Now, when grief happens, well, you tend to feel like you've been swamped by a rogue wave, tumbling in the surf, drowning underneath. You don't know which way is up. You're not sure how to get back up for air because the grief and the betrayal is just killing you. You're drowning in it. And someone reaches down and gives you a hand and puts a life ring underneath you and pulls you to where you can put your feet on the ground. But the grief, the water, the waves, they're still up to your chest. And every now and then, more often than not, they tumble over the top of your head and you start to feel panicky again, like you're drowning. You wonder if you have been swept off your feet in a big rogue wave again, but you haven't. And gradually you move a little closer to the shore, and the water of grief is around your waist. And every now and then there's a big wave that comes and tumbles over your head and tosses you down onto your knees, and you have to stand back up, and it falls down to your waist again. And then after a while, the water is only down to your knees, and you are able to navigate more easily. You're still slogging through water that's up to your knees, but it's not up above around your nose anymore. It's not all the way up here. You are able to manage it more. You still feel it though. It's very, very present. Over time, with healing, the grief is more like the little tiny tidal waves that come in, rolling in, and it just laps at your ankles. You know that it's there, but it's not overwhelming. It's not unmanageable. You don't wonder if you're drowning. You are able to be aware of its presence, to process the grief and the loss, to understand and recognize that you have grief to carry. It is now part of you, but you are healed to the point where you are able to continue walking. You can play with your kids in the surf. You can go up to the edge and spread out a beach towel on the dry sand. And then as you walk again, the little waves of grief will lap around your ankles and your toes, and you know they are there. And every now and then, unfortunately, but predictably, there's a rogue wave, and it comes and it splashes up on around your waist or around your knees. And sometimes it's huge and it crashes over your head. But now you know that the tide comes in and the tide goes out. The grief waves will get stronger and then they will subside. And you're aware of this. You're able to predict that when it gets worse, it will also get better. And Now that you know this, now that you have become more aware of the pattern, you're able to process, you're able to keep moving forward, and to maintain a sense of stability even when there's a big wave that crashes over you. You can get your feet under you much more quickly again. So, when you are feeling that tumbling sense of grief and agony and loss, remember that grief is like the tide. It comes in and it goes out. And the more that you are able to maintain a sense of control over it, the more you have healed, the more work you have done on understanding yourself and telling yourself the truth, telling others the truth about yourself, about your environment, about the people around you, the more capable you are of spotting the rogue waves before they hit and crash over you. The more you are able to get your feet right back underneath you and stand strong again when something has happened to destabilize you. So, you know, I love word pictures, right? I love a good analogy. When you are dealing with grief and attachment trauma, when you are feeling completely overwhelmed by the sense of betrayal, think of where you are on the beach and ask yourself, is this just one wave? Am I too far out, swept out away from shore? Am I tumbling too far? Or is the ground right underneath me, and all I need to do is reach my feet down and stand up to be able to get a good breath of air? And then I will be able to keep going. I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you like this analogy. Tell me if it resonates with you. Tell me if you've got another analogy that's worked really well for you. Can't wait to hear what you think. And warm welcome from Thailand.